Hi class, welcome to lesson 9.5, making inferences about populations. We've been talking about data. We have talked about different ways to present data. We've talked about the different important things to look at about data. We've looked at how to collect data, how to make sure that you're collecting the appropriate data from the appropriate populations, and why do we collect data? And the reason that data is collected is to make inferences, to learn from it and use the data. If you collect data and then don't look at it, it's just kind of a waste. So the whole thing about data is trying to learn something, to improve something or change something, or to go about doing something in an appropriate way. And so what we are going to look at is some different data and make some inferences about it. All right, let's look at page 68 in your workbook and let's get started. Refer to the dot plot below to answer the following. The dot plot summarizes the points Henry scored in a game. So we are going to calculate Q1, Q2, Q3. All right, a dot plot is, I always have to think twice about a dot plot. Think of what it's saying because it's got these game points and then it's got these dots. And it's summarizing the points Henry scored in a game. So each dot stands for a game. So this dot right here, that is in one game, Henry scored 0 points. But there are 2 dots above the 0, so that means that Henry scored 0 points in 2 games. In one game, Henry scored 2 points. In 3 games, he scored 3 points. So each dot represents a game. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There are 12 games represented. In one game, he scored 10 points. He had a great game. In 2 games, he scored 8 points. So that's how it works. So let's list our data and let's calculate Q1, Q2, and Q3. So he has 2 games that have 0 points. So I'm going to put 0 twice. In one game, he did 2 points. In 3 games, he did 3 points. In one game, he did 5 points. You get what's going on here? 2 dots and 6, so he scored 6 points and 6 points. He didn't score 7 points ever. He scored 8 points in 2 games. So I'm going to list the 8 twice. In one game, he scored 10 points. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Okay, I've got all 12 games listed and how many points. So if we were to find Q1, Q2, Q3, the best start is to find Q2 first. So let's look at the median. We're going to mark out the smallest and largest. And I'm kind of writing it lightly. And we've got 2 left. So our median is between 3 and 5. Well, what's between 3 and 5? 4. So Q2 is 4. Let's go ahead and figure out Q1. So I'm going to mark out the smallest and largest, smallest and largest. And then I have 2 left here. What's between 2 and 3? Well, 2.5. So that's Q1. Now let's do the same thing for the upper half. Smallest, largest, smallest, largest. Okay, we got 2 left. So what's between 6 and 8? 7. All right, so Q1 is 2.5. Q2 is 4. And Q3 is 7. All right, so let's look at this box plot. This box plot this box plot has a number line built in. So if we were to draw a box, our minimum is 0. If we were to do a box plot, our minimum and our maximum is 10. Q1 is 2.5. 2.5 is right here. Okay. And Q2 is 4. Okay. And then Q3 is 7. All right, so if we were to make a box plot, it would look like this. And then this would connect here and then here. Okay, it's kind of, what I wanted you to see is 3 of our data points are here. 3 of our data points are in here. 3 of our data points are in here. And then 3 of our data points are in here. So it divides our data into quartiles again. Okay, the interquartile range is this. So 6 pieces of data are between these two numbers. Well, what are the interquartile range is, how far is it from 2.5 to 7? So we got to take 7 and subtract 2.5. And 7 minus 2.5 is 4.5. Okay, so looking at this, it says, based on the quartiles in the interquartile range, what can you say about Henry's performance in the games? All right, so we can say that Henry, we can say that in half of the games, Henry scored between 2.5 and 7 points. So in 50% of the games, Henry scored between 2.5 and 7 points. Okay, one thing I want to acknowledge, I know it's impossible to get 2.5 points in a game, but we're talking data, and so don't worry about the 2.5. So in half of them, he scored between 2.5 and 7 points, half of the games, okay? All right. And the 4.5, the interquartile range, just means that he scored within 4.5 points in 50% of the games. And in parentheses, we can put within 4.5 points. Okay. All right, let's look at the next one. Refer to the table to answer the following. A survey is carried out to estimate the number of people per household in a certain district. The table summarizes the results of the survey from 15 randomly selected households. So this is, wow, this is the number of people in these households, 7 and 8 and 6. These are, a lot of these have large households. Okay, calculate the mean. I just want you to have practice with this. You may use a calculator. I want you to add up the numbers and divide by 15, by the number of households. That will tell us how many people, the average number of people in each household. All right, so I want you to do that one for. All right, let's look at the next page. It says Ryan's English and science test scores are summarized below. And so if we look across, he's had 6 tests in each. Here are his English test scores, and here are his science test scores. I want you to find the average, the mean score of English and the mean score of science. And then you don't have to calculate the mean absolute deviation. So omit 8 and omit 9, but I want you to calculate the mean. So from this, can you tell which does he do better in? Does he do better in English or in science? All right. Last one says the data of the size of sunflower heads grown in Garden A and Garden B are summarized in the 2 box plots. So you've got Garden A, you've got Garden B, and then it says write down Q1, Q2, Q3 of the size of sunflower in the 2 gardens. So I would write A for Garden A, and then write what Q1, Q2, and Q3 are, and then do the same thing for B. Q1, Q2, Q3. And then calculate the interquartile ranges. Again, that is Q3 minus Q1. So find the IQR for A and find the IQR for B. And then answer 12 and 13 to the best of your ability. Now, one thing I want to remind you of, this is a box plot. And remember, this right here, there are 5 pieces of data that is important in a box plot. So we've got the minimum. So in Garden A, the minimum size of the sunflower is 10 inches. And this is your maximum. Okay. And then we've got Q1, and then Q2, and then Q3. So 25% of the flowers are between 10 inches and 11 inches. 25% are here. 25% are between 11 and 11.5 inches. 25% are between 11.5 and 12.5 inches, and then 25% are between 12.5 and 14.5. So I want you to answer the questions based on this data for Garden A and this data for Garden B. All right, folks, I hope you have a great day. If you have questions, don't hesitate to contact me. You guys have a great day. Talk to you soon.